Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends and share it, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the Business Proud podcast, you have the Aston Martin Vanquish coming back as their GT in all of its glory with a beautiful V12 engine, as all cars should come with by default. Some might debate, well, including myself, how much, can't help but think how many more smiles there would be driving down the road if that were the case. But I partially digress. Now, this comes to us thanks to Joe, who's a writer over at Car and Driver. And they say, quote, Aston Martin Vanquish returns as the brand's GT King. They say it will boast a new platform, a new V12 engine, new body, but some old school ideas. And there you can see the new design. And I want to say the only reason people know about this brand is because of James Bond. But that's probably 95% of the people who can identify the vehicle see it, as it's become a historic vehicle from the majority of those movies, although they did waver with a couple, dipping their toes in with Lotus partnership, as well as BMW throughout the years, the good old James Bond franchise. But there is few things more iconic from the UK than this vehicle. Still handmade with pride and has a stick shift, as all cars should have by default, of course, but unfortunately is becoming more and more rare these days. And they say, quote, the Vanquish nameplate returns as a de facto replacement for the DBS, which bowed out after 2023. The new 2025 Aston Martin Vanquish will be the top model in the GT lineup, pricier and more powerful than the DB12 and the Vantage. US deliveries are set to begin just before the end of the year, and pricing starts at, geez Louise, $429,000 plus destination fee, as well as the the local sales tax you have to pay depending on where you live, or the registration tax depending on where you live and how that pans out. And of course, you get that extra extortion tax in the United States with the gas guzzler tax, which is ridiculous because you're going to buy more gas anyway, and that's already heavily taxed. But I only partially digress. Now, it looks really like they just took the good old Vanquish and made it a little bit more angular. The rims look a little bit more, might be controversial to say, but it almost reminds me of a Honda Civic that's been tuned out. I don't mean that in a bad way. But yeah, the wheels have a lot more spokes than usual, and it's almost as if they're matte, or maybe like a gunmetal gold in this picture. And the Aston Martin in this case is actually, it looks pretty good in that red paint job. Now here we could take a look at the rear of it, which looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and, where is it? There, you can see that. Few photos there. This actually has it now gold in some of the promotion photos. That one, yeah, I was gonna. Oh, how disappointing! The promotion photos have an automatic transmission. How boring is that? It looks like the dashboard has more buttons on it than a TI-84 calculator, which, geez Louise, that probably does date me a little bit since I'm pretty sure that that model calculator has been gone for quite some time. Granted, they have about 12 cows of leather in there, which, that's good. People love leather, and hopefully it's real leather, so it's actually quality material. But then you also you have a digital gauge cluster, a big, almost like basically the iPad cliche stuck in the middle of the console, which inevitably will make these cars look, well, it's one of the first things to date vehicles. I mean, it's almost comical. You look at Aston Martins from 10, 15 years ago where they had the flip-up display for the GPS. Even back then, they looked rudimentary and old. And now it just looks even more archaic they're definitely not looking for let's have this car be timeless in this case, unfortunately. Now, going back to the heart of the vehicle, they say, quote, the fresh V12. I think there's a big switch in there. The V12 sits in the market. It's the only applied to a very specific product. If a V12 is twinned with a very specific product, you're going to have strong demand. That's according to Alex Long, who's the head of product and marketing, which notes, quote, we won't bring the 12 down from the Vanquish. That's a change in strategy. This engine will see us at least to the end of the decade. If it's an engine for today, but also could be one that could be further evolved. They say that it's a 5.2-liter displacement, matches the previous Aston Martin V12s, but James Owen, the senior manager of the vehicle engineering operations, describes it as a, quote, a new engine from the ground up. There's literally nothing carried over from the previous V12. It's got a new block, new heads, new intakes, new exhaust ports, and new turbos. The turbochargers are strictly exhaust driven and they incorporate overboost function. Owen says the engine is faster than its predecessor, although the peak out spans wide range from 2,000 to 5,000 RPM. The output is 825 horsepower. That's quite a few ponies under the hood. And they say it also has 738 foot-pounds of torque versus the previous 759 horsepower and 660 foot-pounds of torque in the final version of the DBS 770 Ultimate. It's really important. And he also says, quote, it's really important to go above and beyond where we were before. Top speed is given at 400, no, damn dyslexia got me again. I was about to say 214 miles per hour. A new higher watermark for the brand. A 0 to 60 time is claimed at 3.2 seconds, while 100 happens at 6.2 seconds. As I say, let's actually go back. You see a nice side version here. And it does look better in red. I can't believe they have promo pictures of it. And I don't know. To me, the red just stands out more than the gold there. Is that as an Aston Martin, the V12 spins in a carbon fiber prop shaft connected to rear-mounted. A rear-mounted ZF 8-speed torque converter transactional. For the first time ever, the V12 is paired with an electronically controlled rear differential. The rear transactional and the front mid-engine location helps the Vanquish achieve a 49-51 front-to-rear weight distribution. Let's see here. You gotta have, because again, they have options for the stick shift and other vehicles. Hopefully they come out with that update later, maybe. Again, when it comes to some of these performance vehicles, I mean, granted, the average car sold in North America, that take rate for stick shifts is less than 2%. Yeah, industry-wide, yeah, there's not a lot of people buying the sticks these days, unfortunately. But when it comes to certain performance vehicles, like you look at the Cadillac CTS, or the CT4V Blackwing, the CT5V Blackwing, those have actually a 45 and 50% take rate for people choosing the manual transmission over the automatic transmission. So again, there's a big demand, especially for those high-end sports cars, to have that third pedal, as I would argue as all cars have by default. And it'll be interesting to see if Aston Martin does that eventually. And again, they make some great three-pedal vehicles throughout the years. And one of their hyper cars, $1 million plus models that we reviewed, talked about earlier this year on the show, that did come with three pedals. So they have that option. They've done it before. So if I was a gambling man, I'd say there's still a free option that'll happen because they know the enthusiasts will really appreciate it. But geez, Louise, talking about a price increase. I remember, not financial advice by any means. You can buy a used Aston Martin for like maybe $30,000 to $40,000 for a used Aston Martin, depending on miles in the year. But yeah, depreciation hits those cars pretty bad, and then reliability. Their reliability is so bad for the old automatic transmission. They actually had a whole program set up where you could actually ship it back to England for them to do a proper transmission swap to give it three pedals, aka give it a manual transmission, which I think that's very awesome to have as a kind of company response to a failure in design, because they know, as a DP, there's a specific years where it's just basically a grenade. The automatic transmission is going to fail, and it was out of warranty, of course, because it's so long and they didn't do a recall or anything. They said, hey, here's an option. If you want, you just pay us. We'll take the car back and we'll swap it out for you. And they do a great job with the interior as well, so it doesn't look like it's just bolted together awkwardly in terms of swapping it out. That's a great program, a great response to have in terms of issues with your vehicle. But yeah, when it comes to competitors, spoiler alert for the next part of the show, they're not so great. But let me know in the comments. Do you think people will buy this Aston Martin up? Or do you think the market will appreciate it? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.